All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our weekly webinar. And today, 10X Glenn and I are talking about uncovering the secrets to close more sales. And, that whole thing, if you're tired of missing sales, I keep hearing this over and over, Glenn. A lot of salespeople right now are, going on appointments, not getting the sale. And some of them equate it or blame it on the economy and
Mm.
pricing and things like that. And I just think that it's a level of skill. I mean, what do you think?
I think that is actually it is a skill that you need to have very sharp, but you got to take responsibility for it. And if you know exactly how to implement the steps on your sales process, you will increase your sales and you will stop missing sales. But it's on us. It's nobody else. It's on us. It's not the economy. It's not the prices. It's not nothing else that is going out there. It's me, us. We are in charge of the sales.
Amen. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were sharing how this person typically closes 30, 40 houses a year.
Mm.
It's almost April 1st. They've closed one. And I was like, and unfortunately that's becoming common in the real estate space, but it's not for everybody, Glenn.
Mm.
We've got people that have already closed 10, 15 houses
Mm.
in our community. And the thing is because it's their own mindset that's limiting them. And what she had said to me is, well, there's no sales. I'm like, no sales? She's like, well, no, there's been 15 sales. Okay. Well, 15 sales is not no sales. How come you didn't have all 15 of those sales? Oh, that's
Mm.
unreasonable. Okay, good. Well, why didn't you have 7 of those sales then? Well, because there's over 300 realtors. Got it. So we're giving ourselves every excuse there is why we're not performing. I don't care
Mm.
that there's 300 realtors. I don't care that there's only 15 sales. So that's kind of what we're getting into today. And hey, if that message resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, then great. Right? Because somebody needs to tell you the truth sometimes. And the
Mm.
truth hurts a lot of times, but that's what we need to hear. So we're going to talk to you today about uncovering these secrets to missing sales. And we're going to share with you a very, very simple process that's actually built off this workshop, this sales execution workshop, which, by the way, is happening live. We're going to spend 2 days together live next week on live. It's live next week in Massachusetts. So if you're around now, great. If you're listening to this webinar now, great. If it's beyond April of 2023, you're hearing this webinar, just realize that we do this webinar every quarter. So reach out to us if you want to get involved in one of these webinars. It's a workshop where you polish and hone your sales game. So Glenn, let me toss it back to you, man. Give us an intro. I threw your
Yes,
slide up just to kind of let a few people know about you, who you are, what you do.
absolutely. My name is Glenn Torres. I was born and raised in the island of Puerto Rico. Today, I live in Naples, Florida. And last year, I had the opportunity to become a Grant Cardone licensee and also a 10X elite coach and mentor. And the truth is that I'm just obsessed in helping people and sharing tools and strategies so people can implement them and have success with it. So I'm excited to be here, and some of those strategies and tools they're going to be shared here today. Back to you, Dave.
Amazing, bro. Well, again, there's Glenn, and thank you. I'm glad we were able to partner up on some good things, and I'm excited. So, a little bit about me. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on me, but over 35 years in outbound sales experience. I spent my last 20 in real estate. After that, my last 2 years have been in marketing. Also, a Grant Cardone licensee, which is how Glenn and I met, and one of their 10X elite coaches. Man, I've been doing a lot, man. I Dale Carnegie. Back in 1990s, I was doing Dale Carnegie. That's the guy that wrote the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I went through one of their curriculums to be better at, connecting with people and to be a better negotiator. So also have 3 amazing daughters, a beautiful wife, and man, I'm blessed. I'm training. I've got 2 grandchildren, training for another Ironman race, Ironman 70.3 race this September. And I just love pushing myself. Podcast with over 300 episodes or 320 something now. And guys, listen, we've had Gary V on the show. We've had Mel Robbins. We've had Grant Cardone on 3 times. I mean, Chris Voss, so many amazing people. And I'm just blessed. So before we jump into it, I do want to let you know again, this workshop right here is coming up. There's only a few seats left. It's next week. If anybody's interested in that workshop, message me, go to this link right here, schedule.pathtomastery.net. And we're happy to jump on a call, tell you about the workshop, even if it's after April 5th and 6th. Like I said, it makes no difference. We're doing these workshops once a quarter, but this is a cool opportunity to do it live with us. They're not all live. All right. So, you know what? Normally I get into my whole story. I just want to tell you, I started my real estate business in 2002. And, the first day in the office, I learned a process. I showed up, I went through this process with a team. And at the end of the process, he gave us all scripts. We brought in index cards. We cut ads out of the newspaper. We cut all the for sale by owner ads out of the paper. And that's ultimately what we did back then to get listing leads. And obviously it's come a long way now. So, I mean, I don't cut ads out of newspapers anymore. I don't need to read kind of the same script that everybody else in the world's using. I don't have a robotic, a listing presentation. Okay. But however, I've put in 20 years and the things that I've learned over the last 20 years, the things that we're teaching you guys today. And, and I went from 20 years ago, not knowing where I was going to get my next listing, having to cut ads out of telephone books, having uncertainty, being on a team with the guy's team I joined. He seemed like a good guy. The first listing appointment we went on, I was sitting there with him all excited and he didn't get the listing, and I was like, what the heck is this? Right. I'm thinking, okay, I joined this guy's team. We go on an appointment and the lady goes with someone else. I'm like, okay, this is so anyway, long story short, I created my own process and closed over 1,100 homes, listed over 1,500 homes with my teams, just done a lot of things. And we're sharing that with you today. I'm going to be sharing some of that. And then we bring 10X Glenn into the equation. And this guy's got a tremendous background as well. And so that's what we're going to talk to you about for a little bit today. And we're going to jump into the sales execution workshop, which really encompasses these 5 strategies right here. And we're going to go into each one. The first one is going to be your greeting, critical. If you don't have the right greeting, then you're not going to get anywhere with anybody regardless. Okay. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're meeting somebody at a networking event. If you're in line at Starbucks and you want to talk to the person in front of you, if you're reaching out to somebody on social media, if you're calling a for sale by owner that has his house listed, or if you're literally, contacting somebody to buy solar. So I see there's a hand up. Yes. Do we have a question or what's happening?
We can see your screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
All right. Thank you. Good point. All right. Good. Thank you. So yes. So the greeting is what we're going to talk about. Fact finding. We're going to get into fact finding as well. We're going to talk about some fact finding today. Okay. We're going to get into the demo. We're going to get into the closing process and then follow up. And when you do all these sequences the right way, you're going to increase your business. You're going to increase your listing business. You're going to take a lot more listings. And we're going to explain to you why this process is so important. Glenn, I'm going to toss it over to you right now. If you want to just give us your thoughts right now on this process that we're
absolutely
teaching today.
This is a process. It's super vital that you have a sales process in place in your business. And the reason is this: every single step has a purpose. It starts with the greet. The greeting has a purpose that we're going to cover. Fact finding is vital, so you can know exactly how can you serve that prospect, how can you help them. Now, once you know how can you help them and what is that you can do for them, then you can jump into the demo. And then we're going to go specifically into these steps, but it's very important that you have a sales process in place, so that way you could be exactly where you are, and you can control the process. So this is why it's so important to have steps in your sales process, like greeting, fact finding, demo. Then we go into the close, and if you don't close, now is following up time. So right back to you,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, amazing. And we're going to start with the greeting. As I was saying earlier, with the greeting, the greeting's going to work regardless. If you're, it could be you cold calling people. It could be you meeting people in line. It could be at a networking event. Literally, it could be door knocking a house. Your greeting is critical. The person at that moment is going to make a decision whether they want to communicate with you or not. And there's one thing that we look for at the greeting. There's one really, really important element. I know Glenn knows what it is, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the slide. The first thing we look for is to put the person at ease. Number one goal. If there's one, I'm telling you, if there's one thing that I want you to take from this whole thing today, if let's say you take away one thing, it's that going forward, whenever you connect with somebody, your goal, your focus, your job is to put that person at ease. If you can do that, you will see your sales double, triple, quadruple, because people are going to like you. They're going to want to hang out with you. They're going to want to listen to you. And how do you do that? Is you use positive language. Okay. Now, I know it says keep it short. All right. Keep it short just means be transparent. Just tell people what you're up to. All right. Don't manipulate. I know I've spent a lot of time in the real estate space, and there's this whole thing that real estate agents do, the for sale by owners. They call them up and then they ask them if they're working with buyer's agents. And then they go to the property. Okay. And then they show up, and then the person expects them to have a buyer, and they're like, oh yeah, no, my buyer's not available. But since I'm already here, can I talk to you about listing your house? Now, what is that other person thinking now? Did you just put that person at ease? Of course not. No, now that person's like, hold on, are you trying to manipulate me? And it's the same thing, regardless, when you try to do these bait and switches, or if you disagree with somebody, right? Like that's another thing. We were talking about this morning on the call. You call somebody and they say, well, I'm not interested. I'm with you. You're not interested, right? I'm smiling. I know you're not, because I just called you out of the bushes. I jumped out of the bushes and called you, right? So, but you're smiling, right? It's a different energy, and people will relate to that. Nobody wants to be, if in a cold call scenario. So keep it short, right? Be transparent, offer information. If I'm going to call somebody, or if I'm going to reach out, I want to tell somebody something that's going to benefit them. Have options. Keep smiling. You notice I smile a lot, but I have to remind myself to smile. I'm a pretty serious guy. And then always be prepared to handle objections. So anytime you're going to greet somebody, what does that mean? It means you're just going to reach out to somebody. You're going to have a conversation with somebody. You should really be focused on these 7 steps. Glenn, you want to add anything to these 7 steps?
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing that I'm going to add is just think about how will you feel if somebody's trying to put any type of games in front of the sales process. Like David just mentioned, just a simple example. Like I'm a real estate agent, and I'm telling you I have a buyer. Then I show up with no buyers, and then I want to pitch, my listing appointment, the whole thing, just to take that example. That owner or that seller of the house is going to feel tricked. So think about that when you are calling people and you're meeting people. Be transparent. Let them know who you are, what is that you do, and how you can help, right? And that's it. Be super transparent, and you see how that's going to help.
Yeah, it's not complicated stuff. So then once you have the greeting, now it moves to the next level, fact finding. Okay, so now you have somebody that says, hey, you're okay. Crap, I thought you were kind of a jerk for interrupting me, but you're not too bad. So now I can fact find. Now they're going to be willing to listen to me. Glenn, talk to us about the fact finding process.
Fact finding is very important, because in this process is the one you're going to find out exactly what problems that person might be having, whether it's personal, whether it's professional in the job, or even financially. So depending on what niche and what industry you are, fact finding is vital, because it's going to tell you exactly how can you help this prospect that you're talking to.
Yeah. So what it is, I mean, here's qualifying the buyer's reasons for buying, right? So I said this earlier before we started recording. I should have said it at the beginning. When we do these webinars on sales, our attendance is always lower. When we do marketing, we get twice as many people, because I think people feel marketing is easier. And I love marketing. Don't get me wrong. But the thing I think a lot of salespeople miss is that when you become good at marketing, it makes your sales process easier.
Yes.
Okay. And when you become really good at fact finding with good marketing, you come in with trust and it makes your process easier. When you can figure out really why somebody's doing what they're doing, man, they love you. They want, they're like, okay, wow, you get me. Like, wow, I feel a connection to you because you've asked me questions nobody else has asked me. You've gone deep. You've helped me self-discover things that I didn't even realize about myself. And it's a different level. It's like, it's compared, if you're like on the ocean, like what a lot, not normal, what a lot of salespeople do is they'll do like surface level questions, like a sailboat, a sailboat going right over the top. Well, fact finding to me is like a Navy submarine. I mean, it's going deep, right?
Deep.
Like it could
I
be kind
love
of
that.
scary, actually, if you think about it. But I want to know the deep stuff because that ultimately is how I can help people. I can help them
Yes.
determine the right product. I can help them structure a proposal. I can know how now to justify them making a decision, which is the close, right? I can uncover their real buying patterns. And I'm going to ask hard questions. I'm going to ask hard questions. Why, Glenn? Because no one thing kills a deal.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's why.
And I know you follow that rule as well. No one thing kills a deal.
Absolutely. And you have to, because at this point, you don't have a deal yet. So why not fact find properly in order to, so you can exactly know how can you help that prospect now that they tell you everything based on your questions. Ask the hard questions. No one thing can blow a deal. I'm with you with that. I'm with you.
Yeah, man, it's so important. Now, so now we're gonna jump to the demo. So what's happened now is we've greeted a person. We've had our greeting, we've connected. Now we've done some fact finding, so we know what their goals are, what their wants are, what their needs are. Now we jump into the demo, which is okay. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you what came up in the fact finding. I'm not gonna talk about everything in the world. This is the mistake I used to make when I first got my real estate license. I would meet with somebody, I'd have a PowerPoint and I'd say, okay, so we're going to put your house on this website. We're going to take, then we're going to do professional photography.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do our open house program on this. And then we're going to put out 40 signs and the people like, who cares? Like all the realtors do that. Right. So we're going to use fact finding. We're going to talk about what it is that we can help you with based on what you need. Okay. And what does that ultimately do is we're going to help them select the correct product or service based on what came up in fact finding. So when you think about your demo is we need to show up with multiple solutions. It doesn't matter what business you're in. You should have multiple solutions for your clients, meaning multiple products. Should also be able to verify your selections with alternatives. So I may be talking to someone about an iPhone 13 or an iPhone 12, and they want the iPhone 15. I guess there's a 15 out now, right? I don't even know. I think this is a 13 or a 12. But I'm not the guy that needs the newest iPhone all the time. I'm just saying. So if somebody's talking to me about that, I'm like, that don't make sense to me to go spend $1,200 on a phone. I'm cool with this one. And then when the new one comes out, I'll upgrade. So if you're talking to me about that, you're talking to me about the wrong product. Does that make sense? And then there's other guys. I know guys that will literally sleep outside the store so they can get sure they're in there in the morning to get that iPhone 15 or 16 or whatever model they have now, right? So we need to know the alternatives. We also need to assume that the buyer is always on the wrong product. And how do we do that? Is by asking great questions, right? Asking better questions. We need them to acknowledge. Like, I'm not trying to acknowledge this is right for you. I want you, Victor, I want you to tell me this is the right program for me. Yes, this is how I'm going to use this program. And what happens when we do that? It reduces their need to shop. And here's the coolest thing, because I know Glenn's a hardcore salesman just like me. It makes you look like a soft sell. Because it's all about them.
Yes.
You want to add anything on this slide, Glenn, or what?
No, I mean it's genius when you really think about it. You put them at ease on the greeting, you fact find, Now you're into the demo. Now you know exactly the multiple solutions they might need, and just have them acknowledge the one that they need. You don't have to hard sell. And you know what? This also minimizes the process of overselling. A lot of times we get into that. I do that all the time. And I cut myself and I stop, because sometimes the sale is ready to be closed and we keep selling. So if you stick to this process, it's very precise and it's very targeted for them to make the decision for themselves and acknowledge that they are on the right product.
Yeah, that's it, man. And then once all this happens, once this all happens the right way, then we can go into our close,
Yes.
which is one of my favorite parts, because I'm a closer. Glenn, I'm not a professional visitor, bro. Do we got any professional visitors in the house? Just like to go out and have coffee and chit chat? And
No,
yeah,
not
like,
me.
no, what's the point, right? Like, I'm there to help you make a decision to close. That's the only way you're going to get business, if you close. And closing doesn't have to be like here's the problem with closing. A lot of people think it has to be like this sleazy. It's not. It just, if you've done all these 3 steps right, you can simply say, hey, have you heard enough information to make a decision? Or you can say, are you ready to put me to work? Or whatever your close is. And they're going to be like, yeah, crap, let's go. What you just showed me has like just blown me away. So of course I'm ready to put you to work. It doesn't have to be more than that. So let me show you some of the elements that are essential. Essential decision maker. If you don't have the decision makers, then you can't close. We coach real estate agents. I was talking to a real estate agent a few days ago, and they were telling me how they met with the husband. I'm sorry, the wife of the property, but the husband wasn't there. Like, well, of course they're not going to close. Why would you meet with one decision maker? Oh, well, that was the only time they had. Well, who cares? Then you're in control. Then get another time where they're both available.
Yes.
Come on. Now you just did that. And here's the other problem with that. Even if it goes well for you, now what happens is when the husband now goes and talks to the wife, when the wife goes and talks to the husband, she's given secondhand of what you told her. So everything you told her and sold her on, now she going to the husband and saying, well, here's what he does. And she's not going to be able to sell as good as you. Come on, you got to stop that. All right. They have to have the wherewithal, meaning they have to have the resources, the money, the finances, the ability to close. They have to be sold on the product. They have to believe in you. They have to have confidence in your product. There needs to be a written offer, and there must be urgency.
Yes.
Urgency is critical. It's what's lost if you don't take action now, and it's what's gained if you do. Glenn, talk to me on this.
It's everything that you have here is just the key for your success right now. Like this process, if you follow it step by step, and now you got to the close and you got the decision maker, they have the ability to buy your product or take on the listing in this case. I mean, they have to, once you take them into the close and you go through everything, this will be so much easier for you to close more deals, because they're been into the process. They trust you now. They know you're a professional. You've done things that nobody else has done before with them. So automatically it puts you on the top of everybody. So follow the steps, go implement this, and please, when you get the success, share it with us.
Amen. Amen. And listen, now sometimes here's reality. I mean, that this is reality. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with human beings. Sometimes, no matter how good your process is, you need to follow up. Sometimes people are going to want to get another price. They're going to want to shop. They're going to want to talk about it, think about it. So no matter how good you are, you still have to have a follow-up process. So the follow-up process does not have to be complicated. So it's literally, we'll show you the reasons why people don't buy is lack of time commitment. A lot of times you can't even get the appointment because of lack of time. There's personal issues. Things happen. Sometimes people have concerns about your costs. They don't want to tell you. So this is why, the stronger you are with your fact finding, and the stronger you are with asking questions, you'll find that out earlier in the conversation. You know, typically when you have a cost issue this far in, you miss something in the process. Sometimes you're just not dealing with the decision maker, or the decision maker changes depending on your industry. When I was in publishing, I had gotten Verizon as a client. And I remember I spent so much time. Well, I actually hadn't gotten them yet. I was working with the agency, and I probably spent 6 months working with one of the reps at the agency. And we were supposed to pull the trigger, and she had left. And then someone brand new came in. Now I had to start from scratch again with that brand new person. So all of a sudden now I'm with a new decision maker, another, wrong product. Like I shared earlier with the iPhone. Okay. I don't need to buy the latest iPhone. It's just not how I'm wired. Right. And also people sometimes aren't ready. You got to know this ahead of time. You're meeting with people in your fact finding. If someone's thinking about doing business a year from now or 6 months from now, and you're sitting in front of them now because you need a sale and you're trying to push them to do something, you're going to disconnect with that person. And that's when people are going to think you're pushy and aggressive, and they're not going to want to work with you. Glenn, you want to add anything on this one?
No, brother, I think you cover everything pretty well, but yeah, I mean, I don't have anything after what you said, brother. That was pretty clear.
Well, bro, it's because I'm a professional salesman.
I
I've been
know.
doing this for 35 years, boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff is second nature to me. And
Yep.
and even me, I can't get them all. I gotta follow up 25% of the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you just got to be okay with that. We got to be okay with that.
You got to have that mindset that could be a possibility. You could close on the first time, or you also have the mindset that you might not close and you have to follow up. You cannot be scared about following up.
No,
It's a holy grail, actually.
I think the challenge, Glenn, is here we are saying, well, ask for the close, go for it 5 times. But then at the same time, we're saying, well, a big part of your business comes from follow-up. So it can be confusing for people, right? Like, well, do I push and ask, or do I try to follow up? And the only answer I can give to that question is you need to know yourself, and you need to be able to read people and find out where they are. Is this someone that legitimately just needs the time to process this? And if you keep pushing, you're going to, you're going to alienate yourself. Or is this the type of person that you can, ask a couple more times, and they're going to appreciate the fact that you're persistent, and they're going to move forward with you. So you have to figure out how to discern that. And yeah, I'll every once in a while, I'll burn one. Okay. Yeah. You're just too aggressive. Okay. I'm with you. I know it. I know I'm too aggressive. I became this way myself, as a matter of fact. That's why I'm a top producer. Don't you want someone like that that's going to work for you? But not everybody does. So that I'm okay with that. You got to be okay with that. And that's where I think Grant teaches us no one thing kills the deal. I'm okay. I'm okay not getting everyone. I want everyone, but I realize that not everyone's a great fit. So I'm not going to back off. I'm going to go for it. That makes sense? Yeah. You'll lose more by being non-aggressive. I love that from Stephanie. Stephanie just made a great comment, because people, remember, a lot of people are testing you.
Yes.
They're testing you out, and you don't even realize it. And you're thinking you're being polite. Like, oh, I'm just being courteous. I don't want to seem super pushy. And they're like, I want someone aggressive that's going to help sell my house or help whatever I'm saying.
But think about it. If you're going to spend your time, right, and their time, and you're going to take them to the process, right, and you're going to be there at least 25, 30 minutes, even 45 minutes, right, and you're not going to ask for the close, you got to ask for the close. No matter what. Yes, you got to ask for the close. Whether they say yes or no, now you got a game plan to follow up, but you got to ask for the close. Otherwise, you're just a simple visitor, right? Like you mentioned earlier, you're just visiting, hanging out, drinking some coffee. But think about this, like if you're going to spend the time and take into a process, you got to ask for the sale.
Professional visitor, Glenn. Come on now. They don't make any money. And I remember this sales guy, back in the day when I was working at the Keller Williams office, this literally drove 45 minutes somewhere to knock on the door. Nobody was home. He left like his business card, and then drove back to the office. And he said he was lead generating for an hour and a half. Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, listen, I'm just saying. All right. We're going to get into Q&A in a minute. We're going to jump into Q&A. I want to share something with you. So in 2011, I had a property, a 4-family tied up. I was selling properties for Wells Fargo and in Chase Bank, and I had a 4-family asset that was assigned to me by Premier Asset Services, and they were looking for 240 for a 4-family. Needed a lot of work. I talked to the asset manager. He's like, yeah, if you give us 240, you can buy it. So I'm like, all right, great. I'm going to buy this property. And then I started getting estimates, and the property needed $150,000 worth of to get it functional, so I could actually have people moving in. And at the time, I had not bought any properties like that. I had bought a condo, and I had built a duplex with a friend, and I got nervous. And I was selling real estate, and I had my Lincoln Navigator, I had my Rolex and my fancy suits. And I says, you know what? I don't want to deal with this hassle of this property and then buying it and then putting 150 into it and all this other stuff. And so I said, I'm going to take the $14,000 commission. Because remember now, I was a listing agent. I got both sides of the deal. I says, you know what? I'm going to take this 14,000. And I got scared, and I called my buddy Mike Rajay, and I said, Mike, I got this property. I think it would be a good fit for you. I know he's an investor, and he came and bought it. Now let me jump forward to a year and a half ago. Mike calls me and says, hey, I'm thinking about selling the property over on Woodland Street. I'd like to know what it's worth. I'm like, okay, no problem, man. It sounds great. So I go and I meet him at the property. He shows it to me. Property looks amazing. We value it out. To a year and a half ago, property's worth about $850,000. I want you to think about this. He bought this property for $240, put $150 into it. And yeah, there was some carrying costs and stuff, obviously. So let's say he's into it for $400. This property right now is worth $850. It's probably worth more now. And here's the other thing. For the last 9 years, it's been longer than that now because he decided not to sell, by the way. He's keeping the property. He's been collecting over $20,000 a year in rent. Income. So now at the exact same closing table, I sat right next to him. He signed paperwork. I signed paperwork. At the same closing, they handed me a check for $14,000. I skipped to my office with it, happy as can be. And here we are 10 years later, 11 years later, on the same closing. I've already spent my $14,000. He has over $500,000. The exact same transaction. Now, why you're like, well, geez, why are you telling me that story? Well, I'm telling you for 2 reasons. Number one is one of the things I learned, I wish somebody who taught me earlier in my career is I should have been investing in real estate. I'm not saying I shouldn't have sold real estate because it created a lot of opportunities, but I should have done a lot more investing. So there's one. But the second is I let fear get in the way of this. I let the fear of taking action stop me from moving forward. So I don't want you guys to let fear stop you from doing anything. All right. So we have some cool opportunities we're going to talk to you about. One of them is to actually come up here and do a live event in Massachusetts. Yeah, I know for some of you, that's unreasonable. I'm going to travel to Massachusetts and pay $1,000 for, which is nothing, by the way, for a class right now. When you're watching this video, probably if you're watching this 6 months from now, the price is going to be a lot more than that. But yeah, but there's going to be some opportunities that we're going to talk to you. And don't let fear get in the way. That's my point. Don't let fear prevent you. Okay. Don't, because some of you are like, well, I got this excuse and this. Well, listen, don't let fear stop. I had all the excuses. I was able to rationalize the $14,000. Okay. It made sense to me in a moment, but now looking back, I missed it. So anyway, I want to share that story. I don't know if Glenn, you want to add anything to that story, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A, man. All right, then I want to open it up to Q&A.
Just to piggyback what you say, I mean, a lot of times we desire for things. We always thinking about when is this next big opportunity gonna come. So eventually, since you want this and you want to be better in all aspects in your life, you desire that. So eventually it will come to you, but you have to be aware when the opportunity comes, and don't let fear stop you from taking action on that opportunity. That's all I got.
I love it, man. It's perfect because that's what happens with most of us. It's happened to me in other areas of my life as well. And now I'm like, no, I'm looking at opportunities and I'm saying, okay, is this an opportunity that I want to take advantage of it? And I'm going to ask myself, is it just fear? The fear of doing something I haven't done before getting in the way of this? Or is there really something there besides fear? Right? Fear, acronym, false evidence appearing real. That's it. So some of you guys have an opportunity to get into some either training on sales and marketing. It's going to help take you to the highest levels you've ever been in your business, but you're going to be like, well, I've never invested a couple $1,000s into an event. I've never got on an airplane. I've never done, that's not what's important. What's important is you want to get where you want to get. So let's open it up now for some questions. So who's got some questions? I'm going to open up the camera. I'd love to hear some questions. If you want to come off, just feel free. Otherwise, in the chat, or as Glenn says in the chat, you guys can drop your questions and we'll answer them here. All right. So I see Stephanie. Okay. Boston. Yeah, Boston is definitely going to increase in value. Thanks for rubbing it in, Stephanie. It's going to continue going up. I'm with you. Yes. All right. Who has anybody questions?
I'll talk for a second here, man. Yeah, so of course, like this webinar is great, bro. Again, to keep digging into the wound, the sales process, because when you do get up in front of that client, when you got all your tools in your tool belt, and like they say, you can have the tools, but if you don't know how to use them, you know, these are great. Especially the follow-up process, man, is just so important, man. It's just, I mean, if I wish I would have known about this follow-up process years ago. But it's just been recently, I just been digging, you know, with the follow-up process. And of course, the whole sales process, I've changed the way I've done my business through qualifying the client. And again, you're right, man. I even wrote it here. Are you a professional visitor? You understand? Am I going to come just hang out and hang coffee? Are you going to support my family? Am I going to take care of you as a client? So, yeah. And, you know, so you can never get enough. You can never get enough of this thing.
I love that.
Love it, brother. Thank you. Well, we appreciate you being here. Who else? Anybody have a question, or you feel free? Like, that was great, Victor. Shared a couple takeaways. That's cool. If you have it, maybe you have a takeaway. You're like, hey, here's what I got from this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't have a lot of interaction coming in, so that's cool. Glenn, any final thoughts? But we are doing let me share my screen. Again, this is an opportunity. This is a week away. So I know for some of you guys, you know, they're going to be like, that's unreasonable. I'm going to challenge you to be unreasonable. Next week, April 5th and 6th, right here in Massachusetts, we're doing a 2-day sales execution workshop. Glenn's going to be there. I'll be there. Victor's going to be there. There's about 20 other people. It's going to be an amazing 2 days to polish and hone and really fix your sales process and tighten up your sales process. So if anybody's interested, use that link. It says schedule.pathtomastery.net. I'm happy to jump on a quick call with you, explain it to you, and see if it makes sense. If it does, great. If it doesn't, we'll talk about doing something else in the future if we have to. So that's available to you. And also there's a replay package. Like, let's say, well, I just can't make it to that workshop. And you want to get the replays from our December workshop. It's all right here. You can get access to the full workshop replay. You can share it with your team. It's built into a membership site, so it's broken into 1-hour segments. It's legit, and you can purchase that. It's only $97. And I don't know how to, yeah. So you can access that. And yeah, I would say just message me is the best way to do that. And Glenn, any final thoughts you want to throw out there before we wrap it up today, sir?
Yes. The last thing that I would like to say, if you are not getting the results that you desire from your sales process, you need to change it, because if you don't change it, all you're going to get is the same results. So either change it to get better or change it to get better. There's no options, right? Just get a better process, you know, a better sales process established in your business, and you're going to see how is that process going to help you increase your sales, increase your revenue, and increase everything else in your business and life.
Amen, brother. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you again, Glenn. Everybody else that's been here today, thank you guys for being here today. It's amazing. Again, if anybody's interested in the workshop, message me, message my assistant, Sam. We're happy to talk to you about the workshop. And then if you do want info on the replay, best way, email my assistant, Sam at pathtomastery.net. Again, SAM at pathtomastery.net. She'll get you what you need for that replay. Everybody, appreciate you. Thanks for being here, and we will see you at the next webinar.